You can sit on the edge of a block or a blanket if that feels good to you. Finding a comfortable seated position where you can have the spine be long, the shoulders away from the ears, the crown of the head reaching towards the sky. And we can close our eyes, or you can keep a soft gaze open on a still point in front of you. And just tuning into the present moment. Leaving whatever we walked in with in the past, and leaving whatever we're walking into in the future. Noticing the quality of the breath. Noticing the rise and the fall of the chest with every inhale, every exhale. And also working to really feel the breath lower in our body towards our abdomen. So for some of you, it may feel good to place one hand on the belly, the other hand on the heart. Really using this as a way to not only connect to the body, but to also connect to the movement of our breath. The hand that's on the heart will feel the expansion of the chest. The hand that's on the belly will feel the expansion of the belly on every inhale, and the belly hugging the spine on every exhale. And feel free to keep your hands here as long as feels good to you. Otherwise, you can release the hands back down to the knees and take this next moment just to notice, along with the breath, just noticing what sensations are coming up for you in the body. And we're not judging or labeling these sensations as good or bad, right or wrong. We're simply just observing, becoming aware of them. We're trying to find a way to name them. So perhaps we are feeling any variation of tension or pressure, maybe fullness, tingling, coolness, warmth, whatever it is. We're simply just naming the sensation. We're not judging it or labeling it or attaching any negativity per se to the sensation. We're simply just naming it. We can say warmth or coolness. Simply just stating what it is without attaching anything to the sensation. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. See if we can open the heart just a little more. And along with the breath, along with the sensations in our body, just noticing what is going on in our mind. And once again, we're not judging or labeling anything as good or bad, right or wrong. We're not judging ourselves. We're simply just noticing what is coming up. And similar to naming the sensations in our body, when we have thoughts arise, especially if we have a lot of thoughts arising one after the other, which is very normal and very human to experience, instead of trying to push these thoughts away or see them as intruders, perhaps just simply naming them as thought. So a thought comes in, we label it as thought, or I'm thinking. And then the next thought comes in, we label that as thought or I'm thinking. So we're removing any judgment, any labeling to these thoughts and simply just naming them for what they are without becoming attached to them or what we associate as their meaning. You take the next few moments to simply just label your thoughts as thoughts or the action of I'm thinking. And notice how the body responds when we remove any negative associations with what is a very human thing to do, which is thinking, and simply just naming the thoughts. Notice, even if in a very small and subtle way, how the body responds, perhaps responding in a positive way, perhaps creating more space. And if not, that's also okay. Sitting here for just a moment, I'm going to continue to read a small passage for the theme today in class from the book Journey to the Heart. Today's theme is to open up to who you are. So feel free to sit wherever you are, feeling comfortable, keeping the eyes closed or a soft gaze open. And I'll read the passage. And I want you to see how you respond to this passage, perhaps if you resonate to anything in it. Stop criticizing yourself. Stop telling yourself everything you think, feel, want, and do is wrong, or at least not quite right. You've been holding back, censoring yourself for too long. Your creativity, your intuition, the voice of your soul is the very voice you've been silencing. For many reasons, we learn to criticize and censor ourselves. We may have grown up with people who stifled our inner voice, our wisdom, our knowledge of truth. Our sense of the truth may have caused them to feel uneasy. So they told us to hush. It met their needs to keep us quiet. So we learned to hush ourselves. It was how we survived. No longer do we need to meet other people's needs, not that way. We don't have to be afraid of ourselves or what we will find if we look inside. We don't need to run from ourselves. We don't need to hide or hush ourselves. We are creative, loving, purposeful beings. Notice how the body responds. Perhaps the body, the mind felt resistance to anything in that passage. Or perhaps our body felt heard, our mind felt heard and understood. We're going to use this intention of opening up to ourselves on the mat today. Oftentimes on our yoga mats, we can be our worst critics, and not even on our yoga mats, often off of our yoga mats. So can we learn to practice today of not hushing ourselves, of not silencing ourselves, and certainly not letting our inner critic have the dominant voice? As we move through our practice today, perhaps noticing if any self-criticism pops up, and instead responding to that in a compassionate way of saying, thank you for telling me that. However, I am going to respond to that with loving kindness. And you're essentially responding to yourself with loving kindness. Saying thank you to the self-criticism, but not necessarily associating yourself with that or believing it. And perhaps we'll notice our practice will expand the less that we try to achieve the perfect yoga practice, the perfect pose, the perfect breath, which all doesn't exist. Just noticing when that inner critic comes up and responding compassionately to it, telling it, no, thank you. I'm glad that you are telling me this information, but I don't really need that right now. Slowly start to deepen the breath. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes, adding some gentle movement. Rolling the shoulders up to the ears, then back down. Let's do that again. Rolling the shoulders up to the ears and back down. We'll gently blink open our eyes, come off of our blankets and our blocks, and come onto our hands and our knees, getting ready for a few rounds of cat and cow. You want your hands to be shoulders width apart, your knees are hips width apart, your gaze is down, the crown of the head is reaching in front of you. Take a deep inhale as you move your navel towards the mat, bringing the gaze up to the sky into cow, and exhaling as we round the spine, the gaze to the navel into cat. Inhaling again, navel moving towards the mat, gaze up cow, and exhaling as we round the spine. Continue doing a few more rounds of cat and cow with your own breath, maybe even closing your eyes, just noticing what is coming up for you in the body, noticing what is coming up for you in the mind. Moving with your breath, even adding any other movements that we need in our practice, perhaps gazing left and right, moving the hips in circles if that feels good for you, or maybe even flipping the wrists, the fingertips towards you to get a bit of a wrist stretch. So just continue to move in a way that feels good for you and your body. And notice if that inner critic comes up of, why is my cat not going the way I want? Why is my cow not ending up? And maybe you don't have that voice and that's great, but just noticing when that inner critic comes up and simply just telling it, thank you, but I don't really need you right now. And simply letting it float away. We're not pushing it away. We're not running away from it. We're acknowledging it, but we're not letting it have power over us. Just a few more breaths here in cat and cow. And we'll all come back in a neutral tabletop position. On the next breath, just gently kick the hips back on the heels, arms out in front of you, come into a child's pose. Bringing the forehead to the mat, getting a nice stretch in the shoulders and the back, maybe even rocking left and right if that feels good for you. And slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, sit on the heels, shrug the shoulders up to the ears, and back down. All right, so you'll have about 10 breaths to get into your downward dog. A great time to start the Spotify playlist, except if you start the Spotify playlist, please skip to the second song. So if you want to do the Spotify playlist, it should be in the chat box. I'll copy and paste it again. All right, so skip to the second song. Make sure the playlist is not on shuffle. It's playing in chronological order. And we'll all meet back in downward dog. So take the next few moments. And we'll all meet in downward dog. When you're in downward dog, just feel comfortable in that downward dog, really spreading the fingers wide. Really rooting into those inner corners between the index fingers and the thumbs. And pedaling the feet, wagging the tail, just getting really comfortable. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. The feet are hips width apart. Once again, just check that your fingers are spread wide. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, pedaling the feet, wagging the tail. We should all be heading towards our downward dog at this moment. And see if you could rotate the elbow creases towards one another. So just have a gentle bend in the arms and rotate the elbow creases towards one another. You'll find that inward rotation of the arms, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. Look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, slowly roll up to standing, Urdhva Hastasana. Gaze up at the palms. Palms down at the heart and to the side. Come to the front of your mat in preparation for Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutations A. The toes together, heels can be slightly apart, shoulders away from the ears, the fingers are spread wide. Take a deep inhale as we bring the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana, hinging forward at the hips. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, as you bend both knees, plant both hands around both feet. Bring your left foot back. Bring your right foot back, coming into a high plank. Your shoulders are over the wrist. You're on the balls of your feet. Lift those kneecaps up. You're in one long line. The gaze is down, the crown of the head reaching in front of you. The core is engaged, hugging the belly to the spine, breathing here for 5, 4, lift those kneecaps up. 3, 2, push away from the mat. 1, go back into downward dog, raising those hips high. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. Look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to standing. Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Palms down at the heart. And to the side. And again, building that heat, building that yang. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, bend both knees, plant both hands. Bring the left foot back. Bring the right foot back, coming back into that high plank. This time, listen carefully. Lower all the way down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Option to keep the hands underneath the shoulders, but I recommend putting the hands out 6 inches in front of you, especially if you haven't stretched your shoulders yet today. Squeeze the elbows into the body, keep the gaze down. As you inhale, lift up the elbows, coming into baby cobra. Breathing here and exhaling back down. This time, slide the hands back underneath the shoulders. Squeeze the elbows into the body. So you're really squeezing those elbows in. Tuck the toes, lift the knees up, engage the full body, engage the core as you push up into high plank. Push up high plank, go back downward dog, reaching those hips high, breathing here, shoulders away from the ears. Noticing if that inner critic is coming up, and we are simply acknowledging that inner critic, but not letting ourselves be consumed or overtaken by that. Letting ourselves be felt and heard in a compassionate and loving way. Breathing here, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. Look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to standing. Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up at the palms. Palms down at the heart. And to the side. And building on further. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Keep that flow going. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, plant both hands, step both feet back as you bend your knees. Left foot back, right foot back, coming back into that high plank. Option here to move through the cobra that we just did or shift forward into chaturanga. We're moving through our vinyasa. So moving forward, you have your choice of how you would like to do your vinyasa. We'll all meet back in downward dog. Breathing here. Shoulders away from the ears, fingers spread wide, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. Look to the front of your mat, step or jump your feet to your hands, inhaling halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to standing. Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up at the palms. Palms down at the heart. And to the side. On the next breath, again, inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Should feel that yang energy here, that heat. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, step or jump back, chaturanga or cobra, moving through our full Surya A in your own breath. Listening to your body, not your inner critic, but listening to the inner soul, the inner knowing, the inner truth, the one that comes from a place of love and compassion. And that is not our inner critic. Our inner critic is not speaking from a place of love and compassion. It's speaking from a place of fear. Breathing here, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no, maybe even a place of hurt. But definitely not from a place of love and compassion. Staying here in our downward dog. On the next breath, look to the front of your mat, step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to standing. Urdhva Hastasana, gaze up at the palms. Palms down at the heart. And to the side. Standing here for just a moment, perhaps closing the eyes, standing tall, taking a moment before we move into Surya B. Just noticing what sensations are coming up in the body. Once again, not judging or labeling these sensations as good or bad, right or wrong. We're simply just observing. We're naming the sensations. On the next breath, slowly blink open the eyes, stand tall. We're getting ready to do Sun Salutation B, Surya Namaskar B. On the next breath, inhale, sit back, Utkatasana, awkward chair pose. Tuck that tailbone in, raise that heart higher, move the shoulders away from the ears. See if you can even pick up the toes, really sitting yourself back even more. Breathing here, sitting tall, opening up that heart. And exhale as we straighten the legs, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale as you step or jump back, Chaturanga or Cobra, moving through your vinyasa. Opening up the heart, moving back into downward dog. Once you're in downward dog, without raising that right leg up to the sky, just simply bring that right foot forward. So it's going to use a little bit of your core, right? So that right foot is coming forward in between both hands. Place your left heel down. So both heels are down on the mat, rising up into warrior one, Virabhadrasana 1. That right knee is over that right ankle. The hips are squared to the front edge of the mat. Your left heel is down. Option to even bring the palms together, gaze up at the palms. Shoulders away from the ears. Breathing here, staying strong in this warrior one. And on the next breath, bring both hands down around that right foot. Come onto the ball of your left foot. You're in a low lunge. Use your core to bring your right foot back to meet your left foot. You're in a high plank and move through your vinyasa. Inhaling as the heart opens in cobra or upward dog. And exhaling back into our downward dog, breathing here. On the next breath, we're not swinging that left leg up to the sky. We're simply bringing that left foot forward in between both hands. Bringing that left foot forward. Bring that right heel down. So both heels are on the mat, rising up, warrior one on the other side. Once again, we're squaring our hips to the front edge of the mat. The left knee is over that left ankle. Our right foot has the heel reaching towards the mat. Finding that stance. Option to even bring the palms together, gaze up at the palms. Breathing here, staying strong and energized. Shoulders away from the ears. On the next breath, bring both hands down around that left foot. Come onto the ball of your right foot. You're in a low lunge. Use your core to bring that left foot back to meet the right foot and move through your vinyasa. We'll all meet back in downward dog. Take 3 deep breaths in downward dog. Shoulders away from the ears. Relax the head and the neck down. Give your neck a break. Spreading those fingers wide. On the next breath, look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sit back, Utkatasana, awkward chair pose. Breathing here, tucking that tailbone in, opening up the heart. And inhale as you straighten the legs, arms up to the sky. Exhale, the palms down to the heart and to the side. Breathing here. On the next breath, once again, inhale, sit back, Utkatasana, or awkward chair pose. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Now listen carefully, bend both knees, plant both hands. Keep your left foot where it is. Your left foot is where it is. Bring your right foot back. You're coming into a low lunge. Okay, so your left foot is forward. Your right foot is back. Option to bring a block or a pillow, anything you need underneath your right hand, but keep your right hand planted on the mat, open up to the left. Coming into a twist. The left arm is up towards the sky. If it feels good to you, you can even rotate that left arm and tuck that left arm into that right hip, opening up the heart even more to the sky. Breathing here and modifying as needed. If you need to bring that right knee down, then bring that right knee down. Not letting that inner critic get to you. Perhaps using that information to be gentle to yourself and modify where you are to meet what your body needs. One more deep breath here. On the next breath, if that left arm was tucked in, left arm to the sky, left arm comes back to frame that left foot. Use your core as you bring that left foot back to meet the right foot and move through your vinyasa. We'll all meet back in downward dog. Noticing what the breath feels like here in the downward dog. Noticing what's coming up in the body. Nodding that head yes. Shaking that head no. Look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhaling, fold. Inhale, sit back, Utkatasana, awkward chair pose. Breathing here, sweeping the arms up to the sky, opening that heart, tucking that tailbone in. Inhale as you straighten the legs, arms up to the sky, palms down to the heart and to the side. All right, almost done with this part of the standing sequence. One last inhale, Utkatasana, awkward chair pose. Exhale as you forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Listen carefully. You're going to plant the hands, bend the knees. This time, keep your right foot forward. Bring your left foot back. Coming into a low lunge on the other side. So use a block if you need or a pillow for your left hand, whatever helps you feel the most comfortable here. And open up to the right. We're opening up the heart up to the sky. The right arm is reaching towards the sky. If it feels good to you, you can even rotate that right arm and tuck it into that left hip. Breathing here. Option to bring that left knee down if that feels good to you. So please modify based on what your body needs right now. Opening up the heart to the sky. Keeping that breath moving, most importantly, not holding in our breath. Float that right arm back to the sky if it was tucked in. Right arm frames that right foot. We're in a low lunge. Use your core to bring the right foot back to meet the left foot and move through your vinyasa or go straight back into downward dog. And when you come to downward dog, come down into child's pose, taking a moment of rest. Bringing the forehead down to the mat, the arms out in front of you. And taking this time just to tune into the body, tuning into the breath. Maybe even rolling the forehead left and right, massaging the forehead, maybe rolling the whole body left and right. And noticing if that inner critic is coming up. And we're once again responding to that inner critic with compassion and love. Acknowledging it, but not necessarily believing it or being consumed by it. On that next breath, gently rise back up into your downward dog. On the next breath, look to the front of your mat. Step or jump your feet to your hands. Inhaling halfway up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, slowly rise up to standing Urdhva Hastasana, palms up to the sky. Palms down at the heart and to the side. On the next breath, just gently place your hands on your hips and bring your feet about hips width apart. So I'll face the camera here. So your feet are hips width apart underneath the hips, hands on the hips. And inhale your shoulders away from the ears and the heart open. And exhale as you forward fold all the way down. Grabbing your big toes with your index finger, middle finger, and your thumb, yogi toe grip. Okay, so you're grabbing your big toes. Inhale as you come up halfway. Exhale as you forward fold even deeper. And you're bringing the elbows out like elephant ears, the deeper that you can fold. For some of you, it may feel good to bend the knees and hug the chest onto the thighs. So we don't really want to strain our back here. We want to really practice this in a safe way. And see if you can gently bring the weight more into the balls of the feet so that you feel this in the hamstrings. Really feel the stretch in the backs of the legs. And see if you can let the head and the neck relax. Taking deep breaths here in this forward fold. Shoulders away from the ears. On the next breath, gently remove the hands from the big toes. Come up halfway, placing your hands on your hips, taking a deep inhale in, a deep exhale out, and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up to standing. When you get to the top, shrug the shoulders up to the ears and back down. On the next breath, gently come back up to the front of the mat. Toes together, heels slightly apart. So we're going to stand here in mountain pose to begin with, but I want you to gently shift the weight into that left foot and see if you can lift that right foot up. So we're practicing balancing here. So we're using our core here. We're finding stability here. See if you can bring your right knee up, finding that balance. And you know what? If you fall out, if you wobble, that's okay. Laugh at it, have fun with it,
and get back in. From this balancing here, see if you can gently bring that right foot back, coming into a high lunge. So we're not catapulting that right foot back, we're letting it land softly. See if you can come into a high lunge. Your arms are up towards the sky, your palms together, pinkies are out in front of you. That left knee is over that left ankle. You're on the ball of your right foot. Staying here in a low lunge, breathing here. On that next breath, see if you can twist over to your left. That right arm is coming forward. That left arm is coming back. For some of you, you may even be able to place that left arm on the back of your right leg and float that right arm up. Ooh, if you're like me, you might balance. See, even we fall out of things. Right arm floating up. Breathing here, finding that balance. And then slowly, slowly, slowly coming back to center. And on the next breath, opening up into warrior two. See, I fall all the time. You guys don't even see it. I fall pretty much every day whenever I do yoga. So it's part of the fun, right, of learning, always a student. In warrior two, the shoulders and the chest are facing the right side of the mat. Your right toes are facing the right side, left toes forward, shoulders away from the ears, a gaze over the middle finger on the left hand, breathing here. And reverse the warrior, left palm to the sky, right palm back, keeping that left knee tracking over. It's really easy for us to straighten as we do this, but we really want to keep that lateral stretch in the spine. Breathing here. And floating back into warrior two. Straighten that front leg. Bring those left toes in. So we're gonna be in a wide-legged stance. Your toes are more in than your heels, all right? So your heels should be the outermost angle on both of your feet. Your toes are more in. Place the hands on the hips. Inhale as you open the heart up to the sky. Exhale as you forward fold all the way down, coming into Prasarita Padottanasana. Your hands can come down to the mat. If you feel more open here, then you're gonna work to bring the heels of your hands in line with the heels of your feet. For some of you, it may feel good to bend your knees here if there's any straining in the back. But let's see if we can relax our head and our neck down towards the mat. For those of you who have the hands back by the heels, see if you can stack the elbows over the wrist, coming into chaturanga arms. Breathing here, letting the head and the neck relax. And bringing the weight into the balls of the feet. We're really feeling this in the hamstrings. Once again, bending the knees as much as is needed. Breathing here, taking full deep breaths here, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. On the next breath, gently come back up halfway. Bring the hands out in front of the face. Place the hands on the hips. Come up halfway if you're not there. Take an inhale here, exhale, and then slowly, slowly, slowly rise up to standing. Shrugging the shoulders up to the ears and back down. All right, so we're gonna inverse the feet. All right, so your heels are more in now and your feet are pointing out. So we're kind of in ballet pose, second position for the ballerinas out there. Okay, so your heels are more in, your feet are out. Bring the arms up to the sky. Inhale up the arms, exhale as you come down into goddess pose. All right, for some of you, it may feel good to have the index finger and the thumbs in this mudra together. Okay, so and just move around in goddess pose. We're really working into the hips here. Okay, so move around, get into that right hip, get into the left. We're sitting here in goddess pose, really opening up the hips. We're gonna do some repetitive movement here. So we're gonna inhale as we straighten everything up, the arms up, legs straight. Exhale as we sit down in goddess. Inhale again, everything straight, arms up. Exhale, goddess. Continue doing a few more rounds of this with your own breath. Maybe even closing the eyes, just noticing what is coming up in the body. And taking your time, right? So our inner critic might be, you gotta go faster, you gotta go slower. Why aren't you sitting deeper in your hips? None of that matters right now, right? So yoga is, no one is perfect at yoga. No one will ever be perfect at yoga. In fact, none of us will ever be perfect at anything, right? Perfect is not real. So telling our inner critic, right? Thank you for letting me know, but I'm good right now. I'm just enjoying yoga right now. I'm just sinking into whatever my hips will let me do. But thank you, inner critic, for telling me this. All right, so we're responding to that inner critic with compassion. We're not listening to it. We're not believing what it has to say necessarily, but just acknowledging it. Let's just do one more sinking in into Goddess here. And then we'll all straighten up, inhaling up. Bring the arms to the side. Pivot those left toes back to the front. Get down into your warrior two. Taking your time to sink down. Windmill both hands down around that left foot. Come onto the ball of your right foot and move through your vinyasa. Either going straight into downward dog or going through Cobra Chaturanga. Breathing here. Shoulders away from the ears, nodding the head yes, shaking the head no. On the next breath, very gently bring your right foot forward in between your hands. Stay on the ball of your left foot. Rise up into a high lunge on the other side. So we're slowly rising up, palms together, pinkies are in front. That back leg is active. That right knee is reaching over that right ankle. Breathing here. On the next breath, opening up to the right, coming into a twist. For some of you, it may feel good. For some of you, it may be entertaining if I fall again, but bring your right hand to the back of your left leg if you have room, and you can float that left arm over, coming into a very gentle back bend and twist. Breathing here. And we'll all come back to center. And then open up into warrior two, this time on the left side. Right toes forward, left toes back. Chest and shoulders are facing the left side. Gaze over the middle finger on the right hand. Breathing here. And reverse that warrior. Right palm to the sky, left palm back. And gently come back into warrior. On the next breath, straighten that front leg. Bring those right toes in. So once again, I'll face the camera again. But once again, your toes are in, your heels are pointing out. Couple options here. For those of you who want a shoulder opening, if you have a strap or something to use, you can bring that now. For the ones who want to do shoulder opening, clasp your hands behind you, but keep the hands away from you. For those of you who want to just do a little bit of a kind of balancing gravity forward fold, place your hands on your sacrum, your elbows bent back. Okay, so let's do one of those two options here. Wherever you are, inhale the heart open to the sky. Exhale as you forward fold. For those shoulder openers, you're gonna let gravity bring those hands down towards the mat. Relax the head and the neck down. Wherever you are, for everybody, bringing the weight into the balls of the feet and bending the knees as much as you need. For those who have the hands on the sacrum, see if you can squeeze those elbows together as you bend down. Squeezing the elbows down, letting gravity bring the crown of the head down towards the mat. Breathing here wherever you are, bringing the weight into the balls of the feet, bending the knees as much as you need, getting that nice forward fold, perhaps shoulder opening, and also getting that hamstring stretch. Letting the head and the neck relax. Once again, we're not straining or striving for anything to happen here right now. We're simply just letting our body be where it is right now. On the next breath, if you are a shoulder opener right now, gently peel the hands back to the sacrum. Everyone come up halfway. Release the hands to the hips. Take a deep inhale, deep exhale, and slowly, slowly, slowly roll up to standing. Shrug the shoulders up to the ears and back down. Pivot those left toes back to the front of the mat and sink down into warrior, Actually, you guys have your right toes forward because I turned around. So bring those right toes back to the mat. Come into your warrior two. Breathe in here. Windmill both hands down around that right foot. Come onto the ball of your left foot. Use your core. Bring your right foot back to the left. Move through your vinyasa or go straight back into downward dog. And when you come into your downward dog, come down into child's pose, taking a moment of rest. A moment to tune into the body. Tuning into what is happening in the mind. Tuning into the breath, noticing what's happening with the breath. And slowly roll up, coming into a seated position. Kick your hips off to one side. Bringing the legs out in front of you. Wiggling the knees, shaking the legs. And this is a good time. You can sit on the edge of a blanket or a block if that feels good to you. If you have any of your props with you, good time to have them nearby as we enter the yin part of our class. The sun is setting in our sunset yoga class. Sitting on the edge of a block or a blanket, legs out in front of you, flex those feet. Sitting tall, grab the arms up to frame the ears, float the arms up. Inhale up further. Exhale as you forward fold over your legs, coming into Paschimottanasana. Feel free to bend your knees and fold forward, hugging your head down, relaxing your neck down. No need to strain the back here. If that inner critic is like, come on, you don't need to bend your knees, be like, thanks, inner critic, but that's not really helpful right now. Right now, I need to do what's best for me and my body. So folding forward, relaxing the neck and the head down, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears, relaxing the jaw, relaxing the neck. And just letting ourselves receive the benefit of our yang practice. Now it's time to receive, to let the body open up more space to really reach into deeper levels in our yin practice. Noticing the breath start to slow down. And slowly, slowly, slowly roll up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, shrug the shoulders up to the ears and back down. On the next breath, bring both feet in. So your feet are touching, knees apart, coming into Baddha Konasana. So I'll start facing the camera. Feet together, knees apart, Baddha Konasana. If you want to open up the hips here, then you're going to open up the feet more like a book. Holding on to the legs, shoulders away from the ears, reaching the crown of the head up to the sky. Inhale the crown up further, open that heart. Exhale as you forward fold over your feet. For some of you, it may feel good to have your arms out in front of you. And just let your head and your neck relax here. And feel free, if you have a pillow or a blanket, it might feel good to have something on your feet and just kind of let yourself lie and recline over. It's a great time to make use of your props. We're letting our head relax, we're letting our neck relax, and we're not straining or striving for an outcome here. Our inner critic shows up saying, come on, you can go deeper, you can do this. Once again, we respond to that critic with thank you. I hear you, but I don't necessarily need to listen to you. All right, so just showing acknowledgement of that inner critic, but we're not really letting it take control over us. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Relaxing that neck down, relaxing the jaw, relaxing the face, just really starting to relax the whole body. Then slowly, 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 start to roll up one vertebra at a time. When you get to the top, shrug the shoulders up to the ears and back down. Remove your props if you're sitting on anything just for a moment. As you use your hands to close your knees, come up halfway up your mat. So come up halfway up your mat and slowly lower all the way down to your mat. When you get down to your mat, stretch the arms up overhead, stretch the legs out in front of you, and grow really tall. And hug the knees into the chest, giving yourself a tight squeeze. Rocking left and right, massaging the spine, maybe even moving the knees in circles if that feels good on your lower back, on your spine. But rocking left and right. On the next breath, hold on to your right knee, extend down your left leg. Coming into Apanasana, you're squeezing that right knee into the midline or you're squeezing it out into the right armpit. Maybe even moving that right knee in circles if that feels good to you. And on the next breath, we're transferring that right knee into the left hand. Swing that right knee over to the left side of your body, coming into a spinal twist, floating that right arm up to the sky, peeling that right shoulder blade down. You can use that left hand to guide that right knee down. Bringing some space into the spine. Breathing here into the body. And on the next breath, we're gently bringing both feet back down onto the mat. So both feet are on the mat, both knees are pointing up. Just gently lift the hips up off of the mat just to neutralize the spine as you lower the hips back down. Once again, squeeze both knees into the body, giving yourself a tight squeeze, rocking left and right, massaging the spine. And this time, hold on to your left knee as you extend down your right leg, squeezing that left knee into the body or out towards the left armpit. Maybe even moving that left knee in circles if that feels good to you. On the next breath, transfer that left knee into the right hand as you swing that left knee all the way over to the right side of your body, coming into a spinal twist. Float that left arm up to the sky, peel that left shoulder blade down. Breathing here, just staying here for a moment. And it's okay if this side feels different than the other side. It's perfectly normal. Which really perfectly normal means that it's really just always imperfect, which is what it is to be human, right? Breathing here into the spine, opening up the body, releasing that heat from our yang practice as we enter into our yin. And on the next breath, gently bring both feet back down onto the mat, both knees pointing up to the sky. Gently lift the hips up just for a moment, neutralizing the spine as you lower the hips back down. One last time, squeeze both knees into the body, giving yourself a tight squeeze, maybe rocking left and right. And then opening up into happy baby, grabbing the outsides of both legs, the big toes, or the outsides of both feet. Once again, rocking left and right if that feels good for the body. And then coming into any last poses or asanas that you need for your practice, or coming down into the final pose of Shavasana. Feel free to use pillows, blankets, whatever feels good for you. As we come all the way down on our backs, arms out to the side. Taking this moment to just notice the breath, notice the body, notice the mind, all those three parts that we've been working on, bringing awareness to, not judging or labeling what comes up for us, but simply just observing. Just like that inner critic, right? We're observing that inner critic, but we're not necessarily adhering to it or being consumed by it, similar to the practice that we're doing with our mind, with our body. It's time to open up to yourself, to your grandest dreams and aspirations, your real inclinations and desires, your wisdom and knowledge about what is true and what is real. Open up to who you are. Listen to yourself. Express yourself. Enjoy who you are, and you will find others enjoying you too. Slowly start to deepen the breath, bringing movement into the body, wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Stretch the arms up overhead, stretch the legs out in front of you, growing really tall. Rolling over onto either side, coming into a fetal position, taking a moment to collect your breath here, symbolizing a new beginning, but we can make it anytime. And coming back onto the mat in a comfortable seated position, perhaps on the edge of a block or a blanket, whatever feels good for you. Bringing the palms together at the heart, Anjali Mudra. Giving gratitude to our mind, our body, our breath. Giving gratitude to ourselves for showing up to our yoga practice this evening. And giving gratitude to those in our lives that show up, love, and care for us. And focusing on the heart space in this moment. And if we have a little bit more room to expand, expanding our
compassion and love out beyond just our inner circle, our loved ones, and perhaps showing compassion and love for our community, for our city, perhaps our state. And if you have more room, the whole country. Perhaps even more room to include the whole world. May we all show love and compassion for one another. Help each other stay safe and healthy and cared for and heard. And coming back to that intention that we set at the beginning of class of opening up to ourselves, or perhaps a personal intention that you set. And knowing that these intentions don't just stay on the yoga mat, but they leave with us once we get off of our yoga mats into the everyday life that we live. Yoga is a practice on and off the mat. I thank each and every one of you for coming to practice with me today. It is always an honor to share this space with you. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a very, very happy Thanksgiving this week. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. If I haven't met you, whether it is on Zoom or Instagram or Facebook, then it's very nice